Hour 2 of Implicit Bias is always more fun. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon. We're coming to you from the Mr. Lester's top secret podcast lair. And in January 2025, Mr. Lester's, let's just say, they are maybe a forbidden location for those who know. And if you know, trust me, you want to know. When I say forbidden location, what I mean is it's forbidden because that's part of their whiskey special in January. The Forbidden Offering from Forbidden out of Bardstown. Caleb, you want to grab it? Go ahead. Oh, no, you just wanted your
I was
glass.
going to get my glass again.
Yeah,
so it's Bardstown Distilling. So we've had this stuff before, but not these. The Forbidden series is their, we'll call them premium, I think.
Yeah.
The bottle is just gorgeous.
When Walker's trying to tell us something. Walker,
He
what?
wants some.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, I was just asking you to grab. I didn't want to say it over the air.
Oh, yeah, see.
You should have that one. You should have
I don't
the
know.
single barrel.
Hold on. I'll give him this one. No, I won't. Anyway, we'll make him wait. Okay, go ahead, Caleb.
So I noticed when we this is my second glass, right? So on the first one, the single barrel, on the nose, when I put it in the book, I mean, you get that corny, a little corn smell to it, a little alcohol, a little leather, caramel, and then I got like a fresh cut wheat field. Like I could smell the wheat. Tasted it, didn't taste wheated, but I could smell it. And then I was like, man, there's something up with this. How old is this? What is it? It's a blend. I looked it up and boom, right then and there, it is their wheated series. So the Forbiddens are all wheated. And I think that they did a phenomenal job because I'm not a fan of wheated. Normally it's too soft, too gentle. You smell it, you don't taste it. Like it's impressive the way that they did this. And it's not even a small amount of wheated. It's like 16% wheat. So that's a pretty high amount in there. There's barley, wheat, and corn. And for it not to come off too gentle, too soft, too forgettable, that says something about how this female master distiller did her job appropriately.
So I'm going to ask Caleb, have you had the small batch yet? Because this is the one I'm tasting.
That's the one I just poured. I haven't had it yet.
Okay, take a nose of the glass, take a quick sip, and I'm going to tell you what I got off of this the second that I tasted it. So, and we'll go to the bar in just a second where
It's very, very light on the nose.
both Danny and Jonathan have had a taste of this already, the Forbidden series. Caleb, when I got a taste of this, it immediately took me to the deer camp. And why to the deer camp? Here's why. Because the flavor, and this will make sense because we know that olfactory and taste is linked. The flavor was the scent of persimmon corn.
Yes. Yes.
When I tell you, I tasted it and went, oh, that is that
'Cause when you-
beautiful smell of persimmon corn.
you mix
when
up the
use it.
bag right before you dump it out, you make sure it's all good.
Or you
cut
just buy it
open.
already mixed with,
Yep.
with persimmon and put it in the feeder. It's just that scent, which I love so much. I like it so much that I will even store my hunting clothes in there so that when I put it on, if I smell like anything, I smell hopefully like deer
Yeah,
feed.
yeah.
But I mean, just it's a wonderful smell. And when I tasted this, I went, oh, it is truly unique. It is truly elevated. And Caleb, did you even catch the proof on this? I did not get the proof
I
on
didn't.
this.
It's hard to read the label.
Okay, yeah, this one is 47.6.
I'm gonna tell you this though, the single barrel is good.
So this is 95.2.
That single barrel is damn good.
Okay, so this is 95.2 on the proof, 47.6. It drinks soft. It does.
Very, yeah. This is easy. You could have this. This could be like, I just got out of the stand. Unfortunately, I didn't see anything, and the deer hate me today. Or I just got what I've been looking for. You know.
Absolutely. Okay, let's go to the bar. You guys have the single barrel, correct?
I have the single barrel.
Okay,
yes.
so Jonathan, what do you think of this single barrel that's available at Mr. Lester's? And we're going to talk about what this is available for.
It's 115 proof. And I
No
don't-
idea?
It's 115.
No, what I'm saying is you would not know.
Oh no,
If
I
you
would
didn't-
not know. You're
if you
right.
hadn't read it.
Right. It's not hot. It's pretty smooth. I don't get a lot on the scent, but it is grassy to me. A little more on the dry, grassy side. And that's a lot of what I get. No sweets on it, and I really like wheat, but this is not your typical wheat to me.
I agree. This is certainly not a typical wheated bourbon. Danny?
I can tell this is a higher proof and more corn.
Okay.
So I'm not as fond of this one as the previous one, but I am actually looking forward to trying
The single barrel.
the single.
I'm sorry,
barrel.
the small batch.
Or
You
small
have the
batch,
single
yes.
barrel. Yeah.
The other, I have the single barrel. So I'm looking forward to trying the small batch. But it's still it's still a very nice bourbon.
Yeah, the small batch is an incredibly easy drinker. It is really unique.
Well, the presentation is amazing on these.
It absolutely is.
Because we
It
look
really
at the other
is.
Bardstown's that we've had, and the bottles all look amazing. This bottle is very retro, very like Rocketeer. I wish the label was a little different because it's hard for me
That
to
would be
read.
Art Deco.
Yeah, I prefer to say Rocketeer. When I say Rocketeer, we all think back like, oh, that crappy movie.
Yeah,
Like
but,
we know what I was
right.
but
talking
it was
about.
but it was done in Art Deco.
yeah, Art Deco. Rocketeer way back.
No, the presentation on these is fantastic, as well as the Bluestone Manor.
Mhm.
I love the look of all of these, and they are really difficult to find. I've never seen the Forbidden series
No,
anywhere on a
no.
shelf.
If
Never
I
seen
had,
it
I'd
for
have
sale.
bought
Yeah, the presentation alone will make you say, "I've got to try it at least."
You know, I think the Bardstown Distillery is kind of like that. One of my favorites was we visited there.
Okay.
That's where 1792.
Yep.
Mhm.
And when my wife and I went on a bourbon and baseball
Mm-hmm.
trip a few years ago, the first place we went was that distillery by accident. We were on our way to our bed and breakfast, and we're like, "Oh, there's 1792." Turn the car around and go back because we'd already passed it up. And they had one there that they only sell in the gift shop. Very old Barton.
Yes.
It's still one of my favorites, and you can't get it
Nope.
anywhere but in their gift shop.
Hmm.
So I've sworn if I ever get back to their gift shop, I'm buying a case.
Maybe that'd be a great, like annual trip or something would be to some distilleries.
Oh, let me know
Don't give any.
Let me know when you're going. I'm
don't-
with you.
don't give
I'll
any
be your
thoughts.
wingman.
Don't give any thoughts away, Caleb. I mean, anyway, Jonathan. What do you,
Maybe somebody with an RV could take us there.
That's a great
Oh,
idea.
I wonder who's got an RV. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge for our Monty Python fans out there. Caleb.
Road trip.
On the side of my RV is going to say the nights that say "knee."
Not the knights who say icky, icky, icky. We are no longer the knights who say nee. Yes. And anyway, we go down that Monty Python rabbit hole. All right. So the stories that are out there in 2020. Oh, but we got to address what this is going for at Mr. Lester's.
I don't want to.
Take a guess how much per pour. Anybody? Caleb?
20 per pour.
12.
18.
15. 15 a pour. For the flight
You'll
of
never
3.
find that anywhere else.
No, you won't. For the flight of 3, anybody want to guess?
35.
30.
It is 40 for the flight of 3.
At least, well, and that you're getting a hell of a bargain.
You are getting a tremendous bargain because finding these on the shelf is hard enough.
Yeah.
Much less going somewhere and getting a pour. I mean, look, the wife and I happened to be out. We had a gift card that we'd been given to a restaurant in Lafayette that has a really nice bourbon selection. Shockingly, like you wouldn't anticipate that this place, because it's not a whiskey place. Pour a Michter's 10 was, a double was 25, which is not bad at all.
No.
But it's still 25 for a single, a double, which essentially was a single like you get at Mr. Lester's. And there was a pour of what, George T. Yeah, it was the George T. It wasn't George, but that was $50, which you kind of expect, but it's still like, you can get that for 50, or you can try all 3 of these for 40.
And that's when you look at the value that they give you. And look, I need to go back. Jackie and I were talking about it. We wanted to go back around our anniversary, and I don't plan very well. So I called. They were booked. And then when I finally thought about it for Christmas, I was like, oh, you know what? We should go around Christmas time. Called.
They were booked.
booked.
Guess what's coming up?
So,
Valentine's Day is
Yeah.
around the corner. It's
Yeah.
like 6 weeks away now.
there-
So
I would make my calls now. I'm going to set a reminder. in
if
my
they're
phone.
not booked, make the call now. Yeah. I made the call a long time ago. My wife won't listen to this show, or she will and she'll know, but that's okay. I've made the call, right? Because if you don't, you're going to miss out on reservations at the only 5-star restaurant between New Orleans and Houston, which is really fantastic. Okay, so some other stories that we had to go to. I want to start with this one. And this is actually, please don't believe me, this is a Harvard study that talks about people who are happy and people who are mentally ill versus where their political leanings lie. And believe it or not, there is, I don't want to say causation, but there is strong correlation between your political views and the chances of you being mentally ill, seeking mental help, and being happy. According to Harvard, please do not believe me on this. I'll even give you the citation as we get into this conversation. But according to Harvard, there is a 60% chance that if you are left-leaning,
You can be more specific too. It was 18 to 30-year-old left-leaning females
correct,
were 60% more likely to be seeking mental help
correct.
than anyone else, and they struggled with depression specifically.
And this is not to throw shade on people who suffer from depression, right?
No, and look,
It's a
talking-
terrible thing.
talking to a psychiatrist or psychologist, talking to a counselor, anyone, look, it's worth it. It really is
It
to have having
absolutely
someone you
is.
can vent to and talk to that can look at you and just accept you for who you are. It's phenomenal. But when you look at the depression, the anxiety features and all that they have, and it's from these far left, and I say far left leaning political affiliates. Like it's I for one think it's the victim mentality has a lot to do with it.
I don't disagree with you there. I think that as people on the far left have a tendency to politically align with lack of hope. If you think of it that way, my politics tell me that I have been constantly oppressed, that there is no way out, that I cannot overcome anything, that I am not strong enough to be an individual and overcome at all. And life is going to constantly keep me down no matter what I do. If my politics tell me that, then it, to me, leads to the conversation of the fact that, well, I've got zero hope, so therefore there's zero happiness. What do I have to be happy about? As opposed to those who look at it and go, you know what? My future is, for the most part, up to me.
Well, it goes to that it's not being a victim, right? Life doesn't care who you are, what you are, where you are socially, politically, or anything else. Life does not give a damn. Life happens. Now, society may care,
Well, to your
and
point,
society
correct.
may do certain things, but
Correct.
life doesn't care. Things happen to everyone.
That is a great
And
distinction.
Sometimes it's just your turn.
That is a great distinction because I was going to say, well, Hunter Biden. I mean, Hunter Biden, but life happened to Hunter Biden societally because of where his father sat. Society treated him very differently than 99.9% of people who've experienced life like he has. So, yeah, I think it's a great distinction. Does the bar have any thoughts on this? I was curious. I saw you start to lean in. Go ahead, Danny.
Well, and I think a part of it is so many people on the left believe that the government is the answer to their problems.
Ring the bell. Yeah, that's true.
And let's face it, that's depressing on the face of it.
Well, the reality is not only is it depressing to think that government is my only way out, what's even more depressing is to understand that not only is government not your way out, government is creating most of your problems and you can't see it,
Right.
right? You really believe, and a lot of people do believe this, that government is the way, more rules are the way to get this better, as opposed to let's just hold a higher standard for people, hold us to the basic laws that we were set up with, but enforce those laws to everyone.
Well, and when you abdicate everything to the government, you give up your personal responsibility.
Well, you give up your personal
Ooh.
hope as well. You give up your personal
Exactly.
hope,
Well, yeah,
and that to me
if
is
you
the
give up
bigger
your
one.
personal responsibility, you've given up hope. Because
Yeah,
your
because at
hope,
that point, you're saying the government can control my life better than I can.
right, your hope is in the government that they will just make sure that
The government will only do what the government can get away with.
Well,
Right.
the government's not going to do what's right for you. The government's going to do what's right for the government.
And the purpose of the people is for the government to fear the people, and the people govern themselves. Like we tried to do this. God's people didn't have a king. They were the only kingdom with no king. And we said, we want a king, we want a king, we want a king. God gave him a king. And you know what? He was a tyrant. And God's like, this is what you asked for.
Jonathan?
I'm going to go a little bit further, the word hope came up quite a few times. And who do you put your hope in? And you know, I'm going to say that more liberals than conservatives don't believe in a supreme being, a higher power, or God, or Jesus Christ, or don't follow. Us as conservatives know where to take our problems to and know who's leading us through it all.
Go back to the monologue. He never left us. We left him. And we know that when stuff gets sideways, where do we go? We know where to go to find him. As that old saying goes, there are no atheists in a foxhole. All of a sudden, when times get really tough, people all of a sudden go, maybe I should go back there. I'm going to pray to whatever God there might, because there might be one. And the reality is they've gotten, I think, so far to the left that they don't remember to go there. We have to remember, because we got the 1 minute finger. Walker, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to go down more stories. Cow farts is on the agenda today. It is on the 2025 bingo card. So we're going to talk about what they're actually trying to do about it, which is even more frightening than what they're talking about on this week's episode of Implicit Bias.